Hi, this is Rich with Rich Baum Photography, Sacramento, California. And thanks for stopping by for a little education and tips and tricks and just reviews and ideas and things that can help you with real estate photography. I'd like to start off by saying there's a lot of people have a lot of questions in groups and that send me questions every day. So I try and pick the ones that seem to be the most common with people. And one of them is a tilt shift lens question. And the other one, I'm just going to do kind of a combination review. It's going to be of the Sony a7 III and why did I switch to Sony. And also I've got a nice L bracket here, which I can show you, the Sunwayfoto L Bracket. So I'm going to go into that. Okay, well, let's start off with the Sony. I left Nikon to go to Sony because of several issues I had over the years. I had been with Nikon for over 40 years. And over the last 3 or 4 years around the world I've been shooting, and I had shutters go out, I had problems, but then I also had issues with the company and how they resolved the issues. So I was really firm on I was going to leave Nikon, but I didn't know where to go. I went to Fuji for a while and that wasn't for me. Then when Sony released the a7 III for just about $2,000, I said, that sounds like the camera for me, because I had been waiting for Sony to really catch up with DSLRs in the focusing and with a few other features. But I am super happy with my a7 III. I've done a lot of posts and a lot of not quite reviews on the Sony, but I've just let it be known that I've enjoyed my move to Sony. So I will say that for real estate photography, it is awesome camera. Now I also really love my Sony a6000. And it's a great camera for day-to-day real estate photography and stuff that I don't need good ISO performance on. I don't need super high focusing speed and things. But when I get into design projects, I want a little better dynamic range, a little better ISO performance, which this provides. But now I'm really using it for weddings, for events, and for professional sports. I'm blown away at how good it is and how well it shoots, and just the ISO performance. I've been delivering images over 16,000 ISO, 20,000 ISO. It's insane. Now these cameras do have noise, but you can fix the noise with noise reduction, and they still keep their the detail. Like in a face, in the old days, you'd add noise reduction and the face would then become blobby and come just soft and just unmanageable. Well, this will be fixed in Lightroom. Lightroom does great noise reduction, and I can use the image, even though it has noise, I can take out the noise and it still retains good detail in faces and a lot of other areas. So I really like it for ISO performance. But let's get back to real estate photography or design photography. This camera is everything I need. It's 24 megapixels, so I really like it. I will be getting the a7R III, which it's 40 something megapixels, I think. I don't think it's 50 yet, but this is 24. I would like to have double the resolution for really detailed stuff, and in sports I can zoom in, crop in, and still get like super tight and still get great detail. So that's going to be really exciting. But right now I needed a couple of workhorses for real estate, for sports, and for weddings. And this is the 24 megapixel camera is a sweet spot for me. I think 24 is the best for speed, for ease of use in your computer, and it's just a great combination. This camera also supports a flip screen, which is very handy for real estate photography, and I use that quite often. I love it. I can set it's mirrorless, so I can set it to display the image on the screen, and when I put the camera up to my eye, it will activate the sensor in the eyepiece and switch to your electronic viewfinder in here. So it's a great thing. And one thing that's really great too is because it's an electronic viewfinder, I can never need to use my back screen. I can take the picture with my viewfinder and I can also review it in my viewfinder. Just fantastic. This is also great because mirrorless cameras, one of the big big pluses of mirrorless cameras are when you change exposure, you see it through your eyepiece, you see it through your screen. Now that can be on a DSLR if you were using the live view, but live view to me, especially on Nikon cameras, never really worked really well. It wasn't great for focusing and such, but this works fantastic. I will say there's a few autofocus features that just are game changers, and I will say hallelujah, and I will stand by it 100%. The eye autofocus, I'm not going to go into the details so much because there's some fantastic reviews out there by all the review guys, Fronos Photos, Tony Northrup. They will go through hour-long videos on every feature provided. Much better you go check out those, but I will just say for me and for sports and for weddings and for portraits, eye autofocus is a life changer, not only game changer. My focusing has gone up to about, in some situations, I'm up at 98% sharp, tack sharp photos. So I'm stoked with the focus abilities, and I'll just leave it at that. Unbelievable. But for real estate photography, we don't really need it. And you're probably wondering, if you don't know, what this is on the front of my camera I have. Well, it's a tilt shift lens, and we have a little Tesla driving by, so you may have a little noise in the background. A little mini Tesla driving on gravel, still making a lot of noise for an electric car. Anyway, so please put up with me. Hopefully the lavalier mic isn't catching all that. Anyway, this is a tilt shift lens. This just happens to be a Canon 17mm tilt shift. I used to use the Nikon tilt shifts, and I had the 24, and then I got the 19. Well, when I went to Sony, I couldn't use my Nikon without an adapter, and I said, you know what, if I'm going to use an adapter anyway, I'm just going to cut my ties, and I'm going to go get the Canon 17, and I also got the Canon 24. But the tilt shift lens is also a game changer. Now, I'm not going to, in this video, I'm not going to go into the details of what we can see, the difference in a tilt shift and a not tilt shift, but I will be doing a video coming up shortly where I will try to show you through the camera what we are dealing with and why we are using tilt shifts. But all I can say is I just want to give a thumbs up to not only the Canon 17 tilt shift, but the Sigma MC11 adapter. Now, okay, this is a manually focusing lens, so the adapter doesn't need to focus. But I will say it is a great adapter. It just fits really well. Super, super sturdy. I have a lot of faith that it can hold up this tilt shift without putting stress on the adapter. With some adapters, you will have a problem with putting weight on them. But I just love it, and I love the combination. It's compact. And the Canon's great too for several reasons. One is Nikon, I could never adjust with an adapter on it. I couldn't adjust my aperture on my cameras, and that's something that I would have to take the lens off and put it on a Nikon, change the aperture, and then put it back on a Sony. Well, the electronics go through. So I could be wrong on those statistics, but I remember I had trouble with my cameras, with my Nikon tilt shift lenses, transferring information to the body, so I couldn't change aperture. This works really well, and aside from it, no tilt shift will autofocus, but I don't autofocus anyway. And again, the tilt shift just is valuable, but you'd have to better understand it. So stay tuned for my video specifically on tilt shifts, and I'll spend a lot of time with the 24 and the 17mm tilt shift. But this Canon tilt shift, I love the way it feels. It is really smooth. The Nikon 19 was smooth too, but this lens was just under $2,200. The Nikon 19 was just over $3,400. So I sold my 19 and I got this and an adapter for less money, and I saved about $500. So it was a big deal, even after selling my Nikon lens at a loss. But I still did okay, and if I was still with Nikon, I'd keep the 19mm tilt shift. It was a great piece of glass and a great lens, but I'm much happier with the 17, and I find the 17 to be a little wide sometimes, but I can shoot a whole house with 17mm, and the 24mm tilt shift I was never able to shoot small bedrooms and small bathrooms for real estate, maybe design, but I love 17 millimeters. Now let's go into the again, I'm going to do a full video on tilt shifts, and I'll probably do a bigger video on the a7 III camera, but I just wanted to get one out now. And this is really pertaining to, there's zillions of videos on the a7 III and the Canon tilt shift, but this is for real estate photography. I'm going to tell you that this is a fabulous real estate camera. Also, the screen is a touch screen for focus, so I can touch it for focus, and it works great. It is so nice to not have to go in and move your focus point around. I will say though that this, okay, I used to always would use Really Right Stuff L brackets, and I love them, but they were about $120 on a Nikon D750, and each L bracket, same way with this one too, is made for a specific model of camera, not just Nikon model, but you want that proprietary L bracket because it has divots in it, so it stays on better. It fits into the camera better and won't rotate as much. But I used to always use the Really Right Stuff L bracket, but the Really Right Stuff L bracket for the a7 III was like $225, and I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go for this Sunwayfoto $56, I think, L bracket I got off of Amazon. Okay, I was doing it not as a joke, but I didn't think it would really be as great as it is, and it is fantastic. I will never buy another Really Right Stuff L bracket. I will always buy a Sunwayfoto, because for several reasons. One is this can slide in and out, so you can adjust it if you need. Let's say you need room for cables or something here, you can have that. But I have it right in there. I can access all of my doors here for devices I will plug into my camera. The best part though is I just love this. It has a screw. You can also use a screwdriver like that, but Really Right Stuff, you have to have an Allen wrench. This is just done by screwing it on, finger tight, and it's perfect. It's just great. And this was $56 or $7, so I'm stoked. And I did another review on why you use an L bracket, but really simply, when we're shooting it horizontal, and mostly horizontal for real estate photography because it portrays better, it displays better in MLS. But occasionally I like to use it in vertical. And for me, let's say I wanted to flip over this head, and I couldn't really do it right because I would have to, I couldn't get it over all the way, and it's really a pain. So what I like about this is, and anytime you are doing any head, if you flop it over, it's going to move the axis of the camera. It's just not going to be a great shot. You're going to have to recompose. You're going to have to re-level your camera. Well, if I'm set up with my verticals and horizontal here, all I have to do is loosen up the clamp, and I let it go, and I turn it on axis. I tighten it down. I'm set. I don't have to readjust my tripod at all. Trust me, guys, if you're not using an L bracket, you're really missing out. You may think $120 or even $57 is too much to spend. It's not. Trust me. Get an L bracket so you can easily flip your camera, and it will change the way you work. Super important. So we've got just another few minutes for this tutorial. Again, this is the 17mm Canon, and I am smitten with this baby. And I owe it all to my buddy Sam Chen, who told me the 17 is not too wide, and it's great, and I'm going with him. I'm going to say the 17 is just about perfect. I'm very, very happy with it, and I can crop in if I need. And also, one other thing, this camera has what's called crop mode. So if I set it to crop mode, I am going to get a 1.5 crop factor. So let's say a 24mm lens on crop factor will all of a sudden be a 36mm lens. A 17mm, you would just take half of 17, which is 8.5, so you add 8.5 to 17, and there you get just about 17, 18, 20, about 25mm, 26. I'm embarrassed I can't add that up, but it is just so great. Now you're going to get a smaller file size because it's using a smaller part of the sensor. So it's going to give you, like, instead of 24 megapixels, it's going to give you 10. But that's not a big deal. So I can put this 17mm on my camera, and then if I want to shoot in 24, 25mm, all I have to do is put it in crop mode, and it crops it in, and it gives me that extra reach. Fantastic thing. So that's another benefit of mirrorless cameras, crop mode. Another benefit of mirrorless cameras is silent mode. I can shoot a wedding without my shutter and it makes no noise. Now, silent shutter does have is affected by cycling of lights, so you might get a really bad strobing effect, a banding, all these bands, and that's because the light is changing speeds. It's flickering. We can't see this to the human eye, but it changes. So you got to be careful when you shoot in silent shutter. If you're shooting indoors with lights, you got to make sure that you're not getting the banding. But outdoors, it's fantastic. You're not using your shutter. It's great. I just love it. So Rich with Rich Baum Photography saying, whether you get the Canon, whether you get the Sony, whether you get whatever I've got, be sure to get an L bracket and be sure to get a camera that you like. And be sure to get a tilt shift. Now, I know it's hard to understand what a tilt shift does. A lot of people are like, oh, you don't need a tilt shift. But for the people that use them, it's imperative. I may not use it on every real estate shoot, but I use it on every design shoot, every upper end real estate shoot. I can just get what I want. I can get the perspective I want. And even a fake tilt shift, which I have a video on my YouTube channel for fake tilt shifts, it's not the same thing. So a tilt shift is really, really important. And I will do a more involved video when I can get my act together and hook up the camera to HDMI and play it through the, so you can see the camera. But right now, I'm just gonna leave it at a nice little tutorial telling you, big thumbs up on the Canon tilt shift, big thumbs up on the Sigma MC11 adapter. I think I paid $229 or $179. Really cheap, really great adapter, works perfectly. The L bracket's so inexpensive and so nice. I'm blown away by the Sunwayfoto. Big thumbs up there. And the Sony a7III mirrorless, I'd give you 3 thumbs up if I had 3. Just in terms of focusing in low light noise abilities, using 20,000 ISO for usable professional images, unbelievable. It is just so enjoyable. I've never gotten as good at focusing, even remotely close, for sports and for weddings. I never expected to use this camera for sports, but I've been shooting all of my Spartan races. I shoot for Spartan races, obstacle racing, and I shoot for marathons and triathlons, and I've been shooting my Sony, and I've been very happy, very, very happy. Learning curve's a little steep on the Sony. You got to figure out the menu system and really figure out all these options. And also there are tons of buttons that you can program, so you don't have to go into menus, which is a great thing, but you got to learn how to use it. It's very, very, it can be trying, but I put in my time and I know everything, just about everything I need to know about the camera now. So I really recommend, if you're gonna get it, spend time before you use it professionally and make sure you know how to use it. So, Rich Baum with Rich Baum Photography saying, first of all, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. It means a lot to me. Put in your questions, I answer them. Thumbs up, thumbs down, I'm okay either way. Be sure to listen to our podcast, shootingspacespodcast.com. Shooting Spaces is where you can ask questions. You can record a question for us to answer. We get the tops in the business, the best photographers to interview, and it's just a great way of spending your time driving to a shoot, driving home, or if you just want to listen in your free time on an airplane. Podcast, Real Estate Photography Podcast. We're the only ones right now. And I want to say, please, use that Adorama link. If you're going to go shop for equipment, use it on the, just below the show notes, you're going to see my Adorama link. Click on that link, do your shopping. shopping, and it will help me make these free videos. So let me know what you want a video on too. You can send me messages through Facebook, through the airwaves. Check out my work, and just go out and shoot smarter, shoot better, get better projects, make more money, and then you can go buy new equipment like I'm doing. But it's going to make your product better, and it's going to make your life more fun, and then spend more time with your family, because you're not going to, hopefully not going to have to work quite as hard. So anyway, Rich Baum saying see ya on the next one.